Hi ladies, hi gents, this is Cindy, and I'm here to talk about part 3 of my facelift story. Now, if you are just watching today, a new viewer, you might want to go back and watch part 1, then part 2 of my facelift story, because I think it will make more sense to you if you watch it in sequence. So at any rate, I think that we left off at I was starting back to school. My teaching job, it was after Labor Day, and we were starting, it was like September 5th or something like that. And so it had been about 3 months since my facelift. And if anybody, once I started back to school, if any of my I was working with homeschoolers then, and I was working mostly with the parents. So if any of the mothers were like got to looking at me, and I remember one time one mother did say something to me, and she said, "You look different." And I would just say, "Oh, you know what? I've lost weight over the summer, and I cut my hair, and I have a different hairdo." So I just stuck to my story, and the only people I talked about my surgery with were my friends who also had it, and of course my family. So time went by, and I am still struggling with this tight, painful neck situation. So remember, it's not just here or back here. It's the fact that he's taken these muscles and pulled up, and some of these muscles and pulled down, and then anchored them. So it was this tightness from up and down this way. It wasn't just like tight right here. It was like pulling. I knew that there was no use calling my doctor anymore, because he really couldn't do anything else for me. So I went to a chiropractor, and I told him my story, and he told me that I was not the only one that he had worked with on something like this, that oftentimes women did have problems with their necks being too tight and that being painful. So he gave me an adjustment, and he worked with me for a while. And well, anyway, when I left, I realized that that did not help me. As he was pulling my head and pulling it this way and pulling it that way, it really made matters worse. So here I was back to square one again, but knowing I had to find help for this neck ordeal. So I found, through some friends, I found this doctor. Her name was Dr. Gale, and she was a myofascial cranial therapist. And it was exactly what I needed. She was my angel. She was my saving grace. And I would go to her like twice a week. My insurance did not cover her, because at that time, she was like a holistic type doctor. But this is how primal it was. She actually started by putting her fingers and hands and rubbing like the roof of my mouth, my gums, my cheeks, my jawline in here, all from the inside of my mouth. Then when she was finished with that, she would very gently rub all my incision sites, all my cranial, my head, my skull. And as she did that, there was a lot of like crunching going on. A lot of scar tissue was being broken up, and it really allowed like blood circulation and blood flow to get to places I think maybe it hadn't gone to for a while. But after a couple months of seeing her twice a week, it made a world of difference. And then she sent me home. When I stopped seeing her, she sent me home with a series of exercises to do, and they were so basic. They were like, look up as high as I can with my eyes, look down, look to the left, look to the right. Because as she said, your eyes are attached to muscles in your head, and all of this goes together. So she said, start with your eyes, and then say the vowels, exaggerate your vowel sounds, A, E, I. She said, start, be working on this. And then because this was my range of motion. I'm not kidding you. Maybe. And so, I had to practice, moving my head like this. And so I did everything she told me. And it was probably around that next June that I felt fine. And so I finally was able to enjoy my facelift. And they say that it takes like 9 months to a year for your face keeps improving as your muscles and facial features find their natural place again. Find, the where they used to be and how they used to work, and it does take that much time. And so that's why as time goes by and your eyes and your the expressions that you have find themselves again, and you become sort of like the old you, only better. So even though I had a tough time with this next situation, I would do this again in a New York minute. I have had 16 years of good result from this one procedure, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the freshness of my look. I've enjoyed everything that I was unhappy about. I was not unhappy about anymore. And if anyone that is watching my video series is contemplating getting a facelift, I say go for it. Do it. You will not be sorry. If there's something that bothers you that only surgery can fix, do it. Get it fixed, because you will be thrilled. And remember, my surgery was 16 years ago, and they've only improved everything. So at my last doctor visit, my very last time I saw my plastic surgeon, he said, now how's your neck thing coming along? And I said, my neck thing is fine now. And he said, oh, good. And are you happy? I said, oh yeah, I'm very happy with everything. And then he said, you know what? You'll be back here in 5 years asking for all this all over again. And I was like, oh, I was horrified. And I thought, no way. And you know what? Way. So that could be a part 4, but I'm going to wait and see how parts 1, 2, and 3 turn out before I would think about doing a part 4. So you guys let me know if you're interested in a part 4. And until then, this is Palm Springs Cindy saying, until our next conversation. Bye-bye.